Hey guys, this is Eric Cortina. So anyway, here's what I'm trying to do. Here's that gauge that we made earlier, and here's the muzzle brake, and here's one of my tuners. And as you can see, that hole is way too big. So if you picture this as the end of the barrel, that does not work. Okay, so the plan is to make a bushing. This is 808 roughly. I'll get a better measurement, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it to where this is going to be, let's just call it 808, and I know the threads are 700 thousandths deep, so it'll be 808 for 1.3 inches smooth, and then from here it's going to go up to 850 because the threads on here are 850 24, and then I'm going to thread it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be able to thread the tuner onto the shaft. Okay, then I'm going to part it off, put it in the tuner, and I'll probably epoxy it in place just to make sure there's no movement whatsoever. At that point, I'll put the tuner with the insert in the lathe. I'll drill it, bore it, and thread it for this. Okay, so basically I'm just going to make a bushing, but it's going to be the length of the tuner. Why not just make another tuner, you ask? Yes, I know, it'll be a lot easier. But this is a prototype, so it'd be a lot easier for me just to make another tuner. The problem is the engraving. We'd have to wait on the engraver, and have to send it off and wait for them to have time to get it done. And if we just send one of them, obviously that's going to take a while. So if I do this, I can knock it out today, and we can test it this week. If it works as planned, then at that point I can do them from scratch, and then do a few, and then just send it off to the engraver, and then he can do a few. But again, this is a prototype right now, so that's why I'm going the route I'm going. Plus, I get to show you guys some of what I do. I'll probably bore this one while I have it here, so that when I put it inside the tuner, all I have to do is do a light pass and thread it. So I don't want to do too much while it's inside the tuner, because I'm gonna chuck it up in the jaws, and I don't want to scratch it. So anyway, this is again, this is the fun part. You get to plan all your operations, and there's many ways that this can be done, but that's the way I'm going to do it. So here we go. Okay, we're at 920. I'm going to touch it off at the end of the part. I'll go ahead and face it. That's going to be my 0. So again, I'm going to move in 1 inch, 250 thousandths, and the diameter there is 808. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to creep up to it, and then I can use the same tuner as a gauge. And then from there on, it's going to be 850 or about 847, and that's that's the portion that we're gonna thread. So right now we're at 920. I'm gonna take it down to about 855. That'll give us enough to clean it up. I don't like those stringy chips. I haven't spent enough time with this tool to figure out the speeds and feeds, but I know it likes a deep depth of cut and a fast speed. So anyway, it's a nice finish, but I do not like these chips like this. They're supposed to break. It has a chip breaker, but anyway, I'll play with it some more. In the meantime, let me see where we're at right now. We're at 867. And let's see where we're at right now. 861. So close enough. Now the rest of the way, I'm going to change the feeds a little bit, see if we can get this thing figured out. So the rest of the way it's 808, so I'm going to go to about 815. Again, just a roughing pass. I'm going to leave enough there to clean it up with the other cutter. We're going to go inch 250, and then we're going to stop. Right there. Again, stringy chips, so but anyway, it did the job. Now we're going to switch cutters. Let's see where we're at. About 820. Just want to make sure it doesn't fit, and it doesn't. So good. So I'm going to slow down the feed for this tool because I'm going to take light cuts with it. Okay, just enough to get a measurement. Okay, we're at 814 right there. We'll move in another 4. And I'm going to take a pass the whole way. Alright, so that's a good fit right there. Tried it out with a tuner, and you can see it fits on there. Nice and snug. That's what I want. I decided to make this tenon longer than original. I ended up making it 1.4 inches. That'll give us less threads, which is it's fine. It'll ensure that it's not going to bottom out on the threads. Now we need to take care of this portion right here. It's at 863 right now. We'll get down to 850. We'll go to 854, see what that looks like. 854. Sure enough, 854 and a half. I'm gonna take another 6. I'm gonna take another 7. I'm gonna end up at 847. Take a final measurement. Right there. 847. Okay, so now we have to thread this portion. And I like to put some Dyken glue right there. And we're going to set up the lathe while it dries out. Okay, I know we're going to end up cutting this thing off at a total length of 2 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a thread relief pretty much where I'm going to cut it. We'll touch it off. Right there. Zero out our dial and set the machine at 24 TPI. That's where my tuners are. Again, I'm going to thread at 180 RPM. Here we go. I've cut this particular thread hundreds of times, but I'm still going to check it. Okay, we're good, so now we can keep going. Okay, so our thread is done. As you can see, the tuner goes on there. So what I'm going to do now is line up the end of it flush. Or I'm going to leave the center portion proud just a little bit so that I can face it all together. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to drill and bore the ID to the minor diameter of the internal thread. 0.750 is the major diameter, and our thread pitch is 32 TPI. We subtract that from the major diameter and we end up with 718. So I'm going to bore the ID to 718 and we'll go from there. So I'll drill and bore the ID to the minor internal thread diameter, and then I'll put some epoxy on here and then come back tomorrow and finish it. You know, we're also going to have set screws going through here, so you know that'll hold it in place as well. So let me show you how I drill precisely to depth. This goes 40 thousandths thick. Okay, so I put it against the workpiece. The dial on the tailstock, it's 200 thousandths per revolution. So what I do is I set it to 160. Okay, and what I'm doing is my tailstock is loose right now, so I'm just turning the dial, and it's pushing the tailstock back. When I get to 160, I tighten it. I take the scale out And now when I go to 0, I'm perfectly in line there. I'll go about 370 RPM. Notice how I'm picking so I can break the chips. Okay, I got the part drilled and I have the boring bar ready to go. I touched off on the end of the workpiece and I zeroed out my Z-axis. So I know I have to go, minimum 2 inches deep. I'm gonna go about 2 inches, 100,000ths, just to make sure I get all the way through there. First thing, I'm gonna make a pass. I'm gonna measure the ID, and then I'm gonna set up my DRO. And if you don't have one, at that point you would set up your dials. But anyway, here we go. Okay, so my battery was running low, so I just went ahead and finished boring. I didn't bore all the way. I left about 20 thousandths for a cleanup. So anyway, here's the part. It goes on here like this. Again, I'm gonna leave the center portion proud just a little bit to give me enough room to face it off, and so they look like it's all one part. So anyway, you can see the back is sticking out slightly as well. So now I'm going to epoxy these two together. Then I'll do the ID threading on this tuner to fit the gauge that we made. Okay, so I got the parts degreased. I'm gonna apply some epoxy to the threads. This is DevCon. Okay, set it down right here. I knew that would happen. Okay, let me work it in there with some pliers. Quite messy. Right there. Okay, that's it for today. Tomorrow I'll come back and do the final machining on it, and shouldn't take long, but you never know.